Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 123 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from Hull KR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at this 2008 away shirt. This one that we've got here was at least issued to, but potentially worn by Jason Netherton for the 2008 Super League campaign. It was the second season that Hull KR had been in the competition after gaining promotion during the 2006 season and making their debut in the 2007 season. As you can see, this shirt was manufactured by Carlotti, and a lot of the additional elements to the front of the shirt have actually been embroidered. This is a player shirt, it's a player fit shirt, and everything about it is just really heavy. This must have been an absolute nightmare to play in, especially if it was wet. I've spoken to some former players, Peter Fox being one, and he said it was horrendous to have to wear these shirts during 2008 because they were so heavy when they got wet. And you know, the British weather, you know, you're probably going to play at least, 40% of your games in the wet, if not more. So yeah, it must have been an absolute nightmare to play in. Parasol, Carlotti, the Hull Kingston Rovers Club crest, and Lloyd's TSB, all of that has been embroidered in. You know, you can feel it. You know, it's just heavy. You know, you wouldn't really look forward to wearing this for a game, I'm sure. Lloyd's TSB features very prominently as a sponsor across this shirt. These ones up here are the old collar slot, which is kind of dropped down. These have been actually heat applied. It is the only element on the front of the shirt that has been heat applied to the kit. Naturally, would have expected these to see these in the collar, but as I've said, they've dropped down. This is kind of like a grandad style collar with a placket. There is a button, and then these 6 little bits of reinforced stitching is kind of the only major difference between a replica and a player spec version of this shirt. So yeah, if you can kind of see a picture and it's got these little 6 marks, that would imply that it's a player issue or a match worn version of the 2008 away shirt. It was also the same with the home as well. If those little bits of stitching appeared on the home kit, again, you know, it's a really good indicator that that is a player specification version of the 2008 home or away shirt. The shirt is all navy. We've got gold elements to it. We've been featuring a little bit of gold in succession. Obviously, we covered the Boilermakers shirt in episode number 122. So kind of continuing a little bit with that theme here. So yeah, navy and gold. It's again, same as the green and the gold. Navy and gold, it just works. We've seen it on sort of many occasions now where we've had navy and gold across the Hull KR kit base. It just works. We saw it in 07, 08, 16, just to name a few. It works. Both of these sleeves are pretty much identical, but we will still talk through them because there is one sort of difference on the other sleeve, which we will get to. But yeah, these sleeves, they're just so big and baggy. You know, if you can remember back to episode number 122, where we spoke about Mikey Lewis's shirt, and the sleeves was tiny, weren't they? They were just kind of like jutting off. If you remember, I said that everything was quite rigid, whereas these things, they're massive. Look at them. So yeah, big navy sleeves, which has been kind of stitched together, kind of formed a bit of a V under there as well. Parasol, this has actually been sort of a patch that's then been sort of stitched onto the shirt, and then we've got the Engage Super League competition patch. This has been heat applied, and these are kind of like a felt material. The condition of these is normally a good indicator as to whether a shirt's been worn or not. This one's in really good condition, which leads me to believe that this shirt could potentially only be an issued shirt, but I haven't been able to sort of photo match it. However, there is something that's quite telling on the back, which when we get to it, will really help me identify whether this shirt has been worn or not when I get a little bit more time to do that. We've got the gold cuffs again. These are kind of more in a sort of cotton-based material, much sort of smaller than we've come to expect if you look at the collars. The cuffs on the shirts on the mannequins here, on the wall, sorry. Those are a lot smaller than what we have kind of come to expect. As we have a look at this other one here, so yeah, this side, there's something quite interesting about it. You've maybe noticed it. It's this massive rip in this competition patch. Now, naturally, you'd think, oh, that could be game damage, but I'm not so sure, and I'll tell you for why. So, when I looked on the inside of this, there's a crease. Don't know if you'll be able to see that. There's a crease here. And what I think's happened is when this competition patch has been applied, that crease has been together like this. And when that's been heat applied, there's actually been this bit of fabric which is knit together on the inside. So then when it's been attached, there's kind of been a little bit of a ruck in it. And then at some point, somebody will have gone, why's that there? Woof. And as they've pulled that apart, that'll have just completely tore that competition patch, because it wasn't being held together by anything. It wasn't actually affixed to the fabric because it was knit together like so. So again, this is a good indicator, and this will help me potentially identify whether the shirt was worn or not. But again, photography from 2008, it's not the best. I think Jason only played 12 games during this season, 5 of them away. I've not actually done a kit tracker for 2008 yet, so I'm not entirely sure how many times Jason actually wore this kit, but it can be 5 at the very most, but highly likely less than that. And obviously, as I said, photography, it's not the most readily available thing. I will get round to it one day. As you can tell, there's quite a lot here, and it is quite time consuming, and I help other people out with their photo matching as well. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you just need a clear 20 minutes. It's like, right, I'm going to do this now. Once you've got that motivation, it really does help you sort of knuckle down and try and find something. Feeling under here, there is like a stitch that's come undone. So again, this would maybe imply that there is some sort of game damage to this. But naturally, it could have also been worn by, Joe Bloggs to play rugby league in the park for 5 years afterwards when they got it. So, you've kind of got to take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt. But yeah, we will. I'll have a think about it and see if I can try and match this at some point in the near future. So, before we have a quick look at the back of the shirt, we'll talk a little bit about Jason. Here is a quick word from our sponsor.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to episode number 123 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we were taking a look around this 2008 away shirt that was at least issued to Jason Netherton for that season. Now we are back with the reverse. So there's not a lot going on here. Obviously the navy main body of the shirt continues. Some of the gold design elements that have been stitched on, they do kind of continue around the back of the shirt as well. But there's not an awful lot going on, but there is plenty for us to talk about. So we've got this Lloyd's TSB embroidered sponsorship on the back. We spoke in the first half about how embroidery featured quite heavily on this shirt. It just weighs it down, it makes it much heavier. When we've covered episodes in the past of the 2008 kits, I've gone on about the size of that sponsor. It should have been about 40% of that size and much higher, so it dropped into this space here, which would have then allowed a lot more space for the name and the number. This has probably got to be one of the lowest numbers on a Hull KR shirt. Now, there was also a little bit of confusion at the start of the 2008 season, because Hull KR did actually heat apply the names below the number. I've got one of James Webster's in my collection. I'll pop a picture up of that. We have done an episode on that kit in the past. But what the confusion came was that in 2006, I think it was, St Helens, or might have been 07, St Helens did have their names at the bottom, and they got away with it all year. We do it in 2008, and it's a problem. So we're asked to change. Now, what that meant was that all of the names have to come off the back of the shirt, the number had to be lowered, and then the names had to be reapplied. Now, some of them was straight and some of them was curved. Now, on this occasion, J Netherton, it's quite a long name. Obviously, we've got the J and the dot because Kirk was at the club at the same time as well, so there had to be some sort of differentiation in that. Even though the squad numbers are different, just a league directive, you need to have that unless you apply for special dispensation. So you can actually see, and I will use probably photography a little bit more than actually the video footage to be able to show you this, but you can actually see here where the J, the dot and the N starts, where they have actually had this on the bottom. Let me pull that around next here, where the name's gone across the bottom, and you can see down here where there is a letter N, where that's been in the gold. If I spin it around far enough, there it is. There, you see the N. So there is actually, proof that this one did actually have the name on the bottom at some point in the past, which is obviously quite interesting. It's left like a footprint that's very visible. It's not hard to see. You know, I'm looking at that here now. I can see it as clear as I can see anything on the back of this shirt. So yeah, there was actually a couple of different sized fonts for the 2007 season, but this appears all to be in the larger sized font. And then obviously we've got the number 16, which has been heat applied onto there as well. You know, as I said, that's obviously been brought down a little bit after being applied above the name, which is obviously, you know, a uniquity, which is something that we speak a lot about on episodes of Talking Shirts. These are the shirts that I am the most appealed by. It's great to have a certain player, and if I haven't got a player, it's something that I would probably pursue. But the oddities and the uniquities are something that really do sort of drive me and appeal to me now, just as much as having the biggest names that have actually featured for the club during the eras of me collecting. So yeah, Jason Netherton. He played 194 times for Hull KR across 11 seasons. There was a little bit of a break in his service where he did go across to Australia to play into one of the feeder clubs for the NRL. His stint across in Australia didn't last too long, and he did actually return later that year. I think it was in 2013. So he did actually play games for Hull KR across 11 consecutive years, even though, as I say, there was a little bit of a break in there. During those 194 games, he scored 13 tries. During the 2008 season, as I said, he did play 12 games in that year. 7 of them was on the road. I'm kind of guessing that maybe 4 or 5 of them will have been in this away kit. So there's a little bit for me to look into, but I don't have access to sort of the back catalogue of photography. Tony Foster does often help me out, so this is maybe one where I'll have to drop him an email and say, do you have any pictures of Jason from the 2008 season? Jason's obviously working for the club currently, head of academy and development, doing a fantastic job with the Pathways team. There's going to be some players that come through that group who hopefully become on to be stars at Super League level with Hull KR, or maybe even at other clubs. But the work and the development and the education that they're providing that group of players will definitely see them in good stead. I've had the opportunity to speak to Jason a couple of times. He's a really nice guy, and he will have their best interests at heart. And as long as he continues his hard work, I'm sure we'll be able to see many sort of players coming through the ranks and hopefully featuring in the red and white for Hull KR for many years to come. So yeah, that's been the 2008 away shirt. As I said, this one here, at least issue 2, Jason Netherton. Hopefully at some point I will be able to provide a more solid update than that. But as we kind of head into my sort of favourite time of the year, I'm filming this ahead of time, naturally. Obviously, getting new shirts and being able to photo match them is kind of where I'm at the moment. But yeah, this one will certainly be on the list to match at some point in the very near future. Thank you very much for watching. Check back in another couple of weeks where I'll be back with a new episode of Talking Shirts, which will feature the RNLI charity shirt that was issued to Albert Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.